As you can begin with to see here, I've put my selection of these haircuts and I put it in Photoshop. I've also reduced the background or removed the background so that it'll show more readily. Next thing I'm going to do is come in here and hopefully I can do this at the same time, right? I'm going to pick the freeform pen tool and the thickness of which is going to help me to illustrate the areas that I feel like I would change the most. So, first one, right through here, you can see where the haircut was taken really quite high. I strongly recommend not going that high. In fact, I'm going to show you where I would put it. I'm going to show you how I would actually recommend cutting this kind of a look. And so I would not cut it that high. That just really doesn't quite work out. Same feeling I have cutting it this high up. See, like that's clear up into the middle of the ear. That's simply too high. It doesn't look right when you do things like that. Additionally, the way this was cut, the texture was more undoubtedly cut kind of with a motion or moving motion, which means that basically instead of holding the shears very close to the fingers and holding them very still as you execute the cut, they have either bounced the shears or they've taken too big of sections of the shears, and that's what creates this whole choppiness. I tend to disagree with that quite a bit as well. That really carries out and can be seen through here too. You can see where they've taken literally chunks out of the haircut because of the technique that's done. You have to remember that when you're cutting hair, you're creating, the thicker the section you're taking, you're tenting the hair. You're taking, say for instance, in a 1 inch section, you're taking this side of the inch and you're dragging it to the center. You're taking this side of the inch, you're dragging it to the center, and then when you cut it, it's got a V shape to it or a tenting. When you really tend to see problems with that kind of thing is if you're taking your sections are, oh, I don't know, 2 inches or something like that. I would encourage you to take see-through sections that are very small, execute many of them, and to create a much more defined look. Think detail, think refinement. Don't think about speed or anything like that. Basically they could use a Flowbee and do as good as this. This is just not going to fly. And the last thing I want to draw attention to is that this shape in general, because of the way it's very much kind of a rounded shape here, doesn't work. And particularly is that going to be true because in the youthfulness of this young man's face, now this could be and very likely is simply because of the way they photographed it, the way they took the shot, and so it's dragging it down. Okay, so this is how I would execute the cut. One of the first things I would do is I would use a cryonics blade. Cryonics blade is so hard the way it's made because of how it's forged and then how it's frozen that you get the really sharp, clean lines. Now you can do this scissor over comb if you practice a great deal, but that's going to take a whole lot longer. But you're going to notice some things about this particular image that are going to that really do look just a whole lot better, I would have to say. Before I get on to the next part, I'd like to thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Your support in this regard is extremely helpful. If you found this to be helpful to you thus far, would you be so kind as to take a moment right now and just go over and hit the like button? Or, if you'd like to, please just take the time to leave in the comment section any topic you might like me to cover in future videos. Now, let's get back to our topic. Notice how much lower this section is by the ear. It comes down lower, it fits tighter, it's still around the ear and cleaned out, but it's not so high. Whereas back through here, you notice how it's much lower in terms of the neckline. It's not cut to the middle of the ear, it's actually coming in about the bottom of the ear. As you can see through here, the line is much closer together. That works much better. It looks better. Why is this so much smoother than the other? Because these sections were not tinted. They were not grabbing great big sections and bouncing the scissor, but rather they were using or executing a lot of control and a lot of very detailed movement in the cut. You have to forgive me. I talk about things like this. I get just a little bit too excited. You can get. And if you're working with a cut that was so poorly done as the first one, and you're comparing it to one that's executed so well as the second one, ask yourself, if this is my end goal, maybe what I need to do is the after needs to be later. I need to do the first, get it as close as I can, smooth it out, work it out as best I can, and then do it again and again until I get the end of the image. And then just tell people, this is what it looked like when we first started working with it. It took us a few tries, but now this is where we've got it. And let them see the difference, because then you can really take some pride in the end result.